This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. You discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that makes your financial statements come alive and turns data into impactful graphs that help you see what is going on with your business. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you. Safety training is crucial. You never know when it will pay for itself. An employee of one of my former clients slipped on a ladder, fell, and died. What saved the company from an intensive, long, expensive OSHA audit and thousands of dollars in fines? He had just completed and signed off on ladder safety training the previous week. So yes, safety training is crucial whether we like it or not. My guest today, Eric Wick, founder of Safety Team Technologies, is transforming how blue-collar companies handle OSHA requirements. And yes, safety can boost your ROI. Eric tells you how and more. Eric, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Hi, Ruth. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited.
So I've had somebody slip, fall, and die, and I'm sure you've seen even worse than that, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard to get worse than death, but I've seen.
No, actually, death is preferable to a long-term disability in my book. I'd rather be gone.
Wow, it sounds like you have experience in the workers' comp industry because, yeah, that's the worst I've seen is a young guy fell off a roof, sadly landed on his head and permanently disabled, was in a coma for a couple of weeks. Had to have a craniectomy, which is not a pleasant procedure when part of your skull is removed. And yeah, so a $5 million workers' comp claim. And to your point, if he would have passed away, it would have been a lot less than that. But it's, obviously it's a good thing he survived.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's, one of the things that I've always tried to encourage the clients and people I talk with who are contractors is always have your safety meetings. And, most of the time they roll their eyes at it and you know the drill. But from your perspective, I mean, and I know you've done thousands and thousands and thousands of these things. Why do safety meetings fail and how can we fix them?
It's a complicated answer, but I think the basic reason they fail is because you don't have the buy-in from the highest level, which is the company owner or whoever the designated safety manager is. You have to have 100% buy-in from the top that these safety meetings are going to have a tremendous return on investment. If you can if it justifies you thinking we're going to prevent even one injury per year, then you're saving your company hundreds of thousands of dollars by spending, 10 to 20 minutes a week on a safety talk. And when you ask me why they fail, no company wants to dedicate time to non-revenue generating tasks. And that's what it boils down to. They're thinking about productivity. They're thinking about getting the biggest bang for their buck every day. Whatever they're paying their employees, they want to get the most out of it. And they're failing to look at it in the big picture and the long term. If they can just dedicate some time, even if it's every other week, and in California, that's the OSHA standard requirement is that you do a safety training with your employees at least every 10 business days or biweekly. You're going to have an amazing return on investment if you could just prevent one worker injury.
Yep, absolutely. So I've seen a lot of things with safety over the years, and probably the biggest impact that I have personally seen is a larger company, and they track their number of days without accidents and stuff like that. And they get bonused and they get rewarded, and there's all sorts of safety incentives and things like that. Well, this idiot, and I'm calling him an idiot, did not put his safety glasses on, and he was doing a boiler maintenance, and it blew back. And thankfully, he wasn't hurt, really bad. But it totally screwed up 500 and some odd days of accident-free days, and everybody in the company got on his case. I mean, everybody understood the safety piece of it, and they were really ticked off at him. I'm not gonna use the words I probably was gonna use, for screwing up their bonuses and screwing up their safety record. And it was amazing to me to see a company that really took safety that seriously.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that company must be a leader in their industry, and they must be leaps and bounds ahead of their competition in terms of keeping their insurance costs down. To go 500 days without an injury, that's pretty exceptional. And I assume that they're a larger business, and they became as large and successful as they are because they made safety a priority early on,
Yeah,
at some point.
they
Yeah.
do. And their mod factor and is really, really low. It's very low. And I can't tell you exactly who it was exactly, but a lot of the bids that they work on that are government bids, if your mod factor is over 1, you can't bid. So, I mean, that cuts out a lot of their competition right then and there.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's just proof because it's such a myth versus reality that if you do safety meetings, you're wasting time, the employees aren't paying attention, it's not going to have an impact on your company's success or your bottom line. But look at these companies like the one you just mentioned that has never had a mod factor over a 1.0. How do they do that? Right? There's got to be some recipe they use to stay consistently under a 1 mod. And I'm happy to explain a mod. Do you think most of your
Sure.
listeners
Explain
already
it.
understand how the mod works? Yeah, so I mean, the experience modifier, sometimes it's called the EMR, experience mod rate, either is going to punish a business for having a poor workers' comp claims history, or it's going to reward a business for having a very clean and positive workers' comp claims history. So few claims. I've got a cabinet manufacturer I've worked with for a long time. When I first started working with him, he had a 70 mod, right? Anything less than a 100 or a 1.0 is going to give you a discount on your workers' comp. So let's say he's paying 100 grand a year, right? He's got like a 10% rate. They call it a $10 rate in his industry. He's got about $1 million payroll. So if he was at a 1.0, which is the industry average, he'd be paying 100 grand a year in workers' comp premium. But like I said, he had a 70. He had no claims on his record. So his mod was a 70. So he's paying 70 grand a year. He's saving 30 grand. Well, he had an employee badly injure his wrist while they were installing some upholstery with a blade, cut his wrist. Ended up being a $40,000 claim for the workers' comp carrier, which happens to be the national average. But when that got calculated into his mod, it bumped up to a 95. So now he's looking at a $25,000 increase in annual workers' comp premium, and it stays in his mod for 3 years. So that one claim actually affected his bottom line by 75 grand over 3 years. So if you put in an effective safety program with, like, as you mentioned, safety training happens to be the most impactful way to do it. If they could have prevented that claim, just think of what the return on investment is, for having a 5-minute meeting every other week, as opposed to spending an extra 75 grand in workers' comp premium.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we take a break, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Oursafetyteam.com. Just check out our website. And I urge you to visit the website. If nothing else, download a free, we have a OSHA compliance checklist. There's one for licensed contractors, and there's another OSHA compliance checklist for any industrial blue collar company. You could download that and just compare it to what your current safety program looks like and see what else you need to do to improve it so you're ready to go in case you were to get audited by OSHA.
Very good. Eric, thanks. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Thank you for listening to Contractor Sense. Here's my holiday gift for you. Try Financially Fit Business. Put 2 years of your monthly financial statements in the software and see what they're telling you. We'll take you through the process and review your financial graphs with you on a Zoom call. Make sure that your company is financially healthy starting the new year. Your investment, only $299. Call me at 770-729-0258 or Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. I'll send you the simple list of what you need to send me. If you are using QuickBooks Online as your accounting software, you don't have to send me anything. This is an $800 value for only $299. You save $500. Hurry, this offer expires January 15th, 2026. It might be the best investment you make all year. We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I am speaking with Eric Wick, who is the founder of Safety Team Technologies. And before the break, we told a few horror stories about mod factors and the fact that safety is really, really, really important. So, how do we make safety fun? Or can we make safety training fun?
I think there's a way to do it. Some may disagree, but anything that you can gamify, you're going to add an element of fun to it. So you're probably thinking, well, how are you going to gamify safety? And so this is something that we built into our mobile app, which it streams safety videos for employees on a preset schedule. They're micro videos, 2 to 3 minutes long, but after each video, there's a gamified quiz. So the employees have to answer some multiple choice questions based on the video that they just watched. And then what makes it fun, arguably, is there's a leaderboard. So the employees can see over time how they're ranking on the leaderboard from the safety quiz. And I'm very pleased every time I get an email from an employee or they send feedback through our app. Hey, I need someone to please reset my quiz for the week because I accidentally pressed the wrong answer. And even though we don't do that for the employees, it's like, hey, that's proof right there that these guys are taking it serious. No one wants to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. And if the employer can offer some type of incentive or a contest for the employees who are at the top of the leaderboard, you're just adding to the fun and, making it more embedded in their culture that they actually care about this safety video and quiz that they do every week or every other week.
Yeah. So a lot of what I've seen is, as you say, incentivize them. The company I talked about earlier, what they do is after a year of no accidents, they get something that's put on their uniforms. And then after a couple of years, then they get safety jackets and all this sort of fun stuff that it is gamified. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
it,
the
re-
best way to do it.
yeah, it's like, you're right. Nobody wants to be on the bottom and everybody wears it as a badge of pride because 1 year, 2 year, no accidents, no accidents, no accidents. And there were some people with stuff down their arms, which was kind of cool, which was actually kind of cool to say.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, when all of the employees are kind of holding each other accountable, then, that's the benefit you get out of the type of program that you just mentioned. The only thing you got to watch out for and kind of tread lightly with is that fear of retaliation. If you're the employee that gets hurt,
oh my gosh.
right? Because, I mean,
Oh,
hey,
look.
I'm in California. I don't know if I don't think you're in California,
No,
right?
I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's tough to be an employer in California and states that are similar to California because the employees have so many legal rights. And if they can say, hey, I was hurt, but my employer said I can't file a claim because if I do, I'm gonna pay the consequences because I'm ruining the safety record. So you just got to tread lightly, but put it in writing that, hey, if you're hurt, you got to notify us. We got to file the claim. Don't worry about our safety incentive plan. But still, having the plan isn't going to hurt you.
No, it's not. You had so many people really upset with this guy for screwing up their days. And then it was like back to one, then two.
Yeah.
It
But
was,
hey, the fact that they made it 500 days, if a company can go a year and let's say they've got 10, even just 10 employees or more, it's tough. Contractors, they're doing a lot of times manual labor, 8 hours plus per day, some cases working in difficult environments. It could be really hot. Maybe they didn't sleep well the night before, but they have to be very mentally present in the work that they're doing. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time before there's an injury.
yeah. And tired, hot people who didn't sleep have a much higher likelihood of getting hurt too. So the dispatchers have to be very careful and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. So if your company culture doesn't constantly reinforce safety and the awareness that you need to recognize, hey, I'm tired. I don't feel 100% today. Maybe you just need to go a little slower or talk to your supervisor. And if they truly value safety, maybe they'll send you home so you can get some rest, because it's always better than having an injury.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things that I don't know whether you recommend this or not, but one of the things that I've thought seen that works really well is, you've seen the safety toolbox things and stuff like that. One of my clients does that every week in their service meetings and every week in their install meetings, and everybody's got a copy of whatever the topic is, and one person reads the first paragraph, the next person reads the next paragraph, and they go around the room until all the thing is read out loud, which
I
I
really
find
like that.
which is what I find really interesting because you have to pay attention, especially if you're reading your paragraph.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I know it's far too often I see clients of mine or, businesses that I deal with where they just have one person stand up and read from a printed piece of paper, and you watch the employee's eyes. I mean, no one's learning a thing. No one's paying attention. They're thinking about what they're going to do when they get off that day.
Yep, that's why you make them all read it. Nobody stands up and reads.
Yeah,
They all
exactly.
read it from there. Eric, final thoughts. How to make it fun.
Let's see. Well,
Gamify.
yeah, the gamification is really that's the best we can come up with, is like, let's have a competition. Let's ensure they're paying attention. If there's one final thought I want to bring up, it's going back more to the cost of non-conformance, right? The cost of not implementing safety. It goes far beyond just workers' comp premium. That's probably the top of mind because that affects the bottom line. But you got to look at legal risk too. So I've got clients that have dealt with what I call the three-headed dragon. And when I say that, I mean the first is the spiraling out of control workers' comp premium. But then the second is, and this might be more of a California issue, although I know there's plenty of other states that have this. Once employees are injured, they're sitting at home, they've got their time off while they recover. There's nothing but attorneys' commercials playing on TV all day. And a lot of them are saying, "Hey, were you injured at work? Call our law office. We'll make sure we maximize your benefit from your injury." And if they can determine after talking to the employee that the employer was not doing safety meetings, had no regard for safety, but they know that they're putting their employees in harm's way because they're contractors, well, they can add on a lawsuit called serious and willful misconduct, which is not covered by workers' comp, and they end up being pretty steep payouts. All it takes to prove that they're guilty of serious and willful is that they're not implementing the state safety guidelines. And then the third is when the OSHA auditor shows up and gives you the shakedown, and then they're going to give you the reach around and put their hand in your pocketbook. So I've had plenty of clients deal with all three at the same time, just from one bad worker injury. And trust me, once someone goes through that, if they're still in business after, you better believe they're going to put a safety program in place, and they're going to start complying with the state safety guidelines, because it's no fun. And it makes you question, why did I get in the business to begin with?
Yep, absolutely. Be safe. Eric, give us the website again, please.
oursafetyteam.com. That's OUR safetyteam.com. You can click the green box on the top left and book a demo with us. Our platform is a done-for-you safety compliance platform. It's digital. It's a set-it-and-forget-it system for your tailgate safety trainings. It's gamified. You're going to see fewer claims and much lower workers' comp premium over time if you use our digital platform. But if you're not ready for a digital platform, just do it yourself, and I promise you, you're going to have a significant ROI.
Eric, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ruth. That was fun.
Great. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.